We're back again with another update, but before we jump into everything, don't forget to like the video, drop a comment, and hit that subscribe button. Now let's talk about what's going on, because once again, Doja Cat is putting pressure. On Cardi B Doja Cat's track, Jealous Type, just had its second best streaming day worldwide, pulling in over 2 million streams in a single day on the global Spotify chart. That's a massive number. Meanwhile, Cardi B's latest project isn't seeing the same success. Her streams have been stuck at around 80,000 per day for the past week, and even on August 28th and 29th combined, she only managed about 82,000. To put it into perspective, on Spotify overall, Cardi has gathered only around 3 million streams in total during this time. Because of these numbers, a lot of fans have started voicing their frustrations about this new era of her music. Some of Cardi's own supporters are saying things like, "Imaginary players had the exact opposite reaction that Cardi and her team were expecting, and you can tell by the silence." Another fan added, "Cardi hasn't evolved. The sound, the looks, etc. It just gets busier and bigger, but it's not evolving. She could have tapped into her more emotional side, her fun side, even her Latin side. And she chose this to do what exactly?" So Ken can meme quote and send subs on his page as a rollout. So from her own fan base, the reaction hasn't been what she probably hoped for. Many people feel the second single off her Am I Ugly album is missing something important. A new direction, a fresh sound, something that shows growth. And while all of this is happening, the frustration only grew when Doja Cat ended up receiving a nomination at the Video Music Awards for Song of the Summer, while Cardi was left out. Now let's talk about the rest of the nominees, because this is where fans started getting really vocal. Doja Cat's song just dropped recently, and even though it hasn't even been out for a full week, it already landed a nomination for Song of the Summer at the VMAs. That alone had Cardi B fans heated, saying, "Jealous Type hasn't even been out for a week. DOA never beaten those Poliola allegations." So here's where things get interesting. The conversation isn't only about streams anymore, it's about artistry. And this is where people's opinions get blunt. I've seen comments like, "Cardi B to me is not an artist, okay? She's a reciter. She's a former, influencer/stripper, but she's not an artist." Then in the same breath, they'll compare her to Doja Cat, saying, "Doja is an artist. She really does this." And they don't just mean she puts out songs. They're talking about the whole package. Fans point out how Doja writes her own music, she produces, she experiments with her looks and fashion. And the big thing is, she doesn't need to rely on being over the top or overly sexual just to make a statement. People are saying that's the difference between being creative and just trying to shock the audience. Now, of course, Doja isn't perfect. She's had plenty of scandals and controversy. People even joke about her being 70% music and 30% racist chat rooms. But one thing fans do respect is that she doesn't lean on her personal relationships to sell records or create PR moments. It's mostly about the music with her, whether you like her or not. Another point that gets brought up is how Doja avoids getting caught up in female rap drama. She doesn't form alliances or cliques in the industry. Cardi, on the other hand, has been called out for linking up with certain artists like Latto, Megan Thee Stallion, and even the City Girls, basically anyone who's on the opposite side of Nicki Minaj. And that creates this impression that her career moves are sometimes tied more to beefs and rivalries than to the music itself. Now let's shift gears for a moment and talk about Tyla, because something interesting popped up recently. Tyla decided to pay tribute to none other than Rihanna, the queen of makeup and music, by posting about her on Instagram. And the timing wasn't random. It was to honor the 20th anniversary of Rihanna's debut album, Music of the Sun. Fans believe there's more behind the post than just celebration, though. Rumor has it that Tyla is hoping to secure a Rihanna sample for her next project. And showing public love like this could be part of building that connection. To be fair, almost everyone is a fan of Rihanna, whether you admit it or not, so it's not surprising to see Tyla acknowledging her. But what has people talking is the lack of acknowledgement back. Because here's the thing, Tyla has been consistently showing Rihanna love, and yet Rihanna has never once publicly acknowledged her. That silence is starting to rub some fans the wrong way. People are saying, if this was Nicki Minaj ignoring an up-and-coming artist, the internet would be in flames calling her out. Even Beyoncé gets called out sometimes for not recognizing artists who admire her. So why does Rihanna get a pass when it comes to Tyla? And let's be real, Rihanna does show love to other rising stars. She's given nods to Thames, Aerostar, Davido, the list goes on. She's even openly praised artists like Mariah the Scientist, saying how much she enjoys certain songs. But when it comes to Tyla, who openly admires her and even mirrors her in style, there's been nothing. No repost, no comment, not even a quick acknowledgement. That's why some people feel it's a little unfair. Tyla has been one of Rihanna's biggest supporters, and in the future, it would be amazing to see that love returned. Honestly, by 2026, fans are already saying they want to see a photo of Rihanna and Tyla together, maybe even a collaboration. It would be a moment. Because if Rihanna is already lifting up the younger generation of artists, then Tyla deserves to be part of that list too. All right, let's move forward because there's more drama brewing in the rap world. Megan Thee Stallion is now eyeing a sample from the GOAT himself, Jay-Z, or as some people like to call him, Camelface. And here's the twist, Cardi B already managed to get a Jay-Z sample cleared for imaginary players, and Megan reportedly isn't too happy about that. See, Megan has played with samples before. Fans remember when she flipped Plan B back in 2022, and people really loved how raw and bold that track was. She also used another classic sample for a different record. I think it was Tupac that time. So from her perspective, it feels unfair that Cardi, who many say hasn't been showing much growth musically, got that major sample before her. After all, Megan's often crowned as the Princess of Rock Nation, so she probably feels that connection alone should have secured her the blessing first. But here's where opinions start to divide. Some folks argue that Jay-Z can't just let every female rapper sample him because, honestly, not everyone does it justice. For example, Nicki Minaj, or Annika Tanya Mirage, sampled him on Fractions, and she absolutely killed it. People still point to that as one of the strongest Jay-Z sample flips in female rap. Others feel that aside from Nicki, the only women who could really pull it off would be Doja Cat or maybe Ken the Man, though she's no longer with Roc Nation. And of course, Beyoncé doesn't even need one. She's already on a level where Jay-Z's catalog doesn't define her artistry. The bigger point here is this: not every rapper can lean on a Jay-Z sample and make it work. And the truth is, sampling itself is starting to feel overused in the industry. We're seeing it everywhere. Megan's done it, Cardi's done it, Nicki's done it, and now Ice Spice even has a sample track on the way. At some point, fans start asking, is this creativity or is it recycling? That's why some listeners are saying they're over it. They want fresh ideas, not constant reworks of classics. And while Megan might deserve her shot, the question is whether another sample, even from the GOAT, would really push her artistry forward, or just keep the trend of recycled beats alive. Now let's talk about Queen Bey and her label, Parkwood Entertainment. Everybody knows Beyoncé built this label to spotlight rising talent, and she's signed a few names over the years. Most people immediately think of Chloe and Halle, nicknamed Walmart and Baby Mama by some fans online, but she's also had other artists like Sophie Beam. Remember her? She was one of the few non-black artists on Parkwood, but honestly, she just disappeared from the spotlight, and nobody really knows what happened there. Here's the issue, though. Fans are saying Parkwood isn't really delivering anymore. Almost everyone under the label is struggling to make noise. Some blame the economy, some say people just don't connect with the music, and others feel Beyoncé herself hasn't given her artists the kind of push they need. There are even whispers that she sabotaged Normani at one point. Though the truth is, many argue Normani wasn't getting much support from fans anyway. The bigger complaint from Beyoncé's supporters is that the label feels stagnant. They're tired of seeing flop after flop, especially when every new release requires money for music videos, promo campaigns, and marketing. From their perspective, all that investment is costing more than it's worth. And because of that, many fans want Beyoncé to refresh her roster completely, drop the underperformers, and bring in new talent that could actually take off. And honestly, that might not be a bad idea. Starting from scratch could breathe new life into Parkwood. Imagine Beyoncé letting Chloe and Halle go, freeing them from their contracts so they can pursue other opportunities. The catch, though, is that Chloe in particular might thrive if she got signed by another label. With the right push, she could finally get that breakout hit moment, kind of like what Tinashe did when she dropped Nasty after leaving RCA and suddenly went viral. That possibility might make Beyoncé hold on tighter instead of letting them walk away. At the end of the day, fans just want Parkwood to feel like a label that launches stars, not one that drains Beyoncé's pockets without giving her any return. The question is, will Queen Bey cut ties and start fresh, or will she keep betting on the same roster and hope things eventually click? All right, now let's go over the full list of Song of the Summer nominees at the VMAs, because this lineup definitely had people talking. First up, we've got Headphones On by Addison Rae. And here's the funny part. Wasn't she just complaining about not getting nominated? She was literally online begging and venting about being overlooked. And now suddenly, here she is with a spot on the list. The irony writes itself. Next is Ordinary by Alex Warren. Then we have Mystical Magical by Benson Boone, which honestly, yeah, that's a chop. Moving down, there's All the Way by BX The Plug and Bailey Zimmerman, followed by The Subway by Clownface. I don't know who's streaming that, but okay. Then we've got Fast by Demi Flop Lovato. After that, of course, Jealous Type by Doja Cat. Probably the only track on this list that really feels like it's been moving culture this summer. Also on the list is Golden by Hunter X. And to be real, I don't even know who that is. Blue Strips by Jesse Murph made the cut, along with Daisies by Justin. And I'll be honest, Justin's album grew on me. At first I wasn't feeling it, but over time I started to appreciate it. Personally, I think Yukon should have been nominated. Instead, that track had way more impact. Next is Shake It to the Max remix, which, no. Then What I Want by Morgan the Racist and Tate McRae, absolutely not. Love Me Not by Raveena and Man Child by Sabrina also made the list, but again, nothing screams Song of the Summer here. And finally, 12 to 12 closed out the nominations. But honestly, just no. So here's the takeaway. Aside from Jealous Type, maybe Ordinary since it did decent on the charts, the rest of this lineup feels underwhelming. Daisies was cute, sure, but it didn't dominate like a summer. Anthem should. And that's why so many people feel like Yukon got snubbed, because that track had the energy and replay value to actually fit the title. In short, most of these songs, a chop. The list doesn't really scream Song of the Summer, except maybe for Doja's entry, which is why fans are saying the nominations don't line up with reality. So, reports just came out that Lady Gaga is confirmed to perform at this year's VMAs, and honestly, I don't get it. Like, what exactly is she going to perform? That Bruno Mars collab, since that's the only thing she's had that actually made noise in the last year, because let's be real, her last album flopped and her tour, a hot, stinking mess. And listen, I love Gaga. Don't get it twisted. But there's absolutely no reason for her to be hitting that stage this year. It feels like they're just pulling random names to fill the lineup. Now let's move on to someone who is making numbers right now, Sabrina Carpenter. Her new album, A Man's Best Friend, just dropped, and every track debuted inside the top 20 on the global Spotify charts. That's major. Tears pulled in 9 million streams, Manchild did 6.49 million, Sugar Talking hit 5 million, Nobody's Son did 5.16 million, We Almost Broke Up Last Night did around 5 million too, Go Juice landed at 4.67 million, House Tour came in with 4.14 million, and Don't Worry, I'll Make You Worry also crossed 4 million. That's a strong rollout. Now people online are already calling the album boring, but I think that's just the hate train kicking in. Let's be real. When an artist is at the top, people love to tear them down. To me, this album is pretty solid. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. The only critique I'd make is that it does have a few fillers. And I also think Sabrina didn't need to drop this project so soon after the success of Espresso and her last album. She could have waited, let her moment breathe, and then come back bigger. Because right now, some listeners feel oversaturated. Like, girl, didn't you just drop? That's part of why the reception feels mixed. But overall, the project is good. She was clearly inspired after her breakup, probably got some free beats from Jack Antonoff, and decided to put it out. And honestly, it works. People are just going to hate regardless, but the numbers don't lie. Whew. Chilly, this year's VMA's already looking like a mix of flops and surprises. Some of these nominations ain't making sense, and the performances, baby YY, we gon' see who eats and who embarrasses themselves on stage. One thing's for sure, the internet will not let anybody slide this year. So buckle up, cause the drama is just getting started. If y'all enjoyed this tea, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and of course, subscribe, because I'll be back dragging these celebs when the show finally airs. Period.